Hey, Daily Dosers, this is Pastor Larry here with what we like to call Bonus Monday. Kind of a look back at an area of the message we didn't have time to either dig into or need to amplify. And what we looked at was this last weekend was Jesus' promise that there's a place called heaven. So no matter what is going on in our life, hold on to that because it'll make all things that we're suffering right now seem inconsequential. And there is a path to get there. We already know. We just need to hang with Jesus. We want to get to God? Well, hang with God, and we'll get there. And then this promise that He will provide everything we need along the way. Well, whenever we talk about the path being narrow and that leads to the Lord and being wide that leads to destruction, whenever we talk about the fact that there are some that are sons and daughters of the King and there are others that are still sons and daughters of the enemy and have not yet come over, we always are trying to figure out how do we deal with them. And there's a balance and a kind of a tension that I'm not so sure we always naturally know how to take and to deal with when it comes to the narrow path. Because on one hand, we're told quite clearly, do not judge. And on the other hand, we're told to be inspecting fruit, and it's by their fruit we will know them. So what is it? You know, there's a narrow path. What do I do with those who are on the wide path of destruction? Those who are calling other people to come on this wide path. How do I treat them? So let me take just a moment or two and help us deal with this conundrum that in one way I'm not to judge, but in another way I'm supposed to inspect fruit and know what's going on based on the fruit. Well, it's really not as hard as it might seem. Because the word that is used, translated as judge in our Bibles, kreno, and krenos, is a phrase that means do not condemn. Okay? It's not don't make a judgment, don't observe something. It's don't do what a judge does, which is pass down sentence. Declare the finality of the case that is in front of the judge. Why do we not judge? Because that's God's job. It's not my job. And when he says you will know them by their fruit, he's saying inspect their fruit, but he's not telling me to write them off or to judge them in light of their fruit. So to carry this a little more practically, it's kind of like I go through life and I see people that are clearly opponents of the Lord or clearly walking the path of destruction. I don't look at them and be a judge. They're walking the path of destruction. They are evil. Write them off. Put them away. No, but what I do is I observe what they're doing. I put them in a box that says godless, but here's the secret. You don't seal the box. In fact, my prayer and my hope is to get them out of the box and turn God's enemies into God's friend. So there's really not a contradiction between do not judge and fruit inspect. It simply means observe what people are, put them in the category of what they do, but do not seal the box, condemn them until the last breath is breathed, and then it's God's problem. Because if I make do not judge into, well, who am I to judge, kind of that way we do it in our culture, well, now I'm disagreeing with God. He calls sin, sin. But when I call sin, sin, I call a sinner a sinner. I've not written him off if I understand God's will, because his will is not to wipe out his enemies. His will is to win them over. And that's why he's left you and he's left me here, to carry out that work that began at the cross and to get that message out. Don't judge, fruit inspect, and pray like crazy that just as his grace has been unleashed in your life, and many of us come from being very harsh enemies to being sons and daughters, pray that that will be done in the lives of those who might appear to be spiritual enemies right now. But how cool will that be when they become brothers and sisters?